Hello, everyone, and happy Earth Day. Earth Day, Thea and Karina. We're gathering today. Well, it's actually Earth Day, but we are recording for our full moon bonus for the full moon in Scorpio. And before we dive deep into astrology and the somatics, we would like to introduce ourselves and how we came up with this beautiful circle that we've been hosting for almost a year now. And I want to ask Thea to start the introduction because we're actually doing it under the platform that she initiated herself. It's Mata Philippines. Thea, please introduce Mata to all of us.
Yay! So thanks, Princess, and hello, everyone. So Mata Philippines is actually a brainchild when I was having my Saturn return. So in astrology, it's actually a big maturation phase where, Saturn, the taskmaster, really asks you, like, what are you doing with your life? What's your purpose? Like all those adulting questions. So that was around 2016. And it was also after a trip that I had in Sagada. And right after that trip, I saw this video from Conservation International, voiced by Julia Roberts as Mother Nature. Long story short, I had a dream that Mother Willow, yes, from Pocahontas, I super love Disney, like Karina, Mother Willow was actually waking me up from the dream. And when I woke up, Mother Willow was like, "You gotta help me," but like not with, voice or language, but it was more of soma, of like, there's really something going on and there will be a lot of things that will go on. So you got to help me and you got to step up. And so that's like, that was like the aha of, I'm awake, like mata. So mata in Ilonggo means to awaken. And so because of that dream, I have become really passionate to just empower the collective to awaken to their truth and awaken to their authenticity and awaken to their superpowers. And I feel like what we're doing here in Circle is just so apropos for the coming Scorpio full moon because we're talking about our superpowers. And yeah, I would, because of this journey, this journey of my own awakening, it has become it continues to be this catharsis and the shedding of people, places, things, jobs, versions of myself, um, that really fit and align. And I'm so grateful for my connection to be unstable on my back. And I'm so grateful to have come across Princess, who introduced me to cacao and just really drastically changed my life from then on. And then Karina of Starry Vibes, who is also so passionate about astrology and everything woo. And it just also aligned and melded together. And so here we are, um, leading our circles and just really hoping to continue empowering people who join our circles and who will eventually join in the community to continue their work. Because well, like one of my core beliefs, and I carry it over with Mata and to Mata, is that if we really want change, sustainable, systemic change, whether that be, climate activism, climate justice, racial justice, whatever, if we really want change, it has to start from within. And it's actually one of my the slogans of Mata is "You be the change that you want to see." And like, but how do we do that, right? So there, that's it for me. How about you, Princess?
Oh, Mina ba? I thought to Karina. Okay, well, I'll go ahead. Um, how did I start? Well, with the ceremonies, it just came by accident, because when I met you, that's when I moved back to Manila. And I did not really know what was I was doing here again because I was here few years ago, and I kind of left. I moved back to Cebu, and then I went around and started learning about different healing modalities. But in 2013, I was working for Bantay Kalikasan, and there I met Miss Gina Lopez, and she didn't force me to to go to her one of her retreats, but she invited me to go there. I was going through a really tough um, time in my life. I even had like a psychologist like giving me prescription, because it was like, okay, where do you, and at that time I did not know what this healing is. You know, you're supposed to feel pain in your body when you're mentally like not feeling okay, so I did not know the connection, right? So when he started like pressing me in different points in my body, I was like, okay, they're related, I'm not sure. And then at the end of this consultation, he was starting to write like some medicines to help me sleep. And I thought, what are these? You know, are these like psychotic medicines or not? Walang explanation or anything, right? But in the back of my head, I was like, if I start, regardless if it's just probably melatonin, I don't know. Regardless of whatever the medicine is, if I start popping it up um, pills, I would be thinking there is something wrong with me. And if there is, I want to know what that is. And if I could go deeper and see where we can, you know, work together with the pain that I was feeling. And so I went to the retreat, and she told me to stay there for 10 days. And this time it was just like, wow. I had friend who used to talk about aliens and like all these Anunnakis and past lives, and I'm like, don't say that, you know, in front of other people. But then these things started appearing in that meditation. I'm like, what is happening? And so I just went on with it. But then amidst all like these like super wow aliens, so superpower and everything, it went down to like meeting my lola who passed away, and then meeting my childhood myself. And I'm like, wow, you know, like this is how, like, I don't know what to say, right? But I guess um to cut everything short, awakening or mata is really deep and sometimes difficult, and sometimes we get scared to go deeper. And what's pushing me and motivating me to stay in this type of work that we are all doing is that, you know, we hope, not just myself, but we hope to be of service to those people who are just waking up, right? And that they, and I think this is what we talked about, Thea, when we met in late 2019, no, or mid 2019. It's like that they can come to a circle and be guided or just experience it, and then, you know, go to through the journey slowly, slowly, and when you can guide them if we can. So yeah, that's about it. Too much information, Karina.
That wasn't too much information. That was perfect. Um, all right. For me, well, how I was thinking as you ladies were speaking, like, how did it even begin for me? Because I've always been super like, oh, I love magic. I love fairy tales. I love fairies, you know. And growing up here in the Philippines, um, I would always sit with our helpers and they would tell me stories about the provinces. And they would tell me about how, you know, they had dwarfs and they had fairies, they had white ladies, they had like, you know, all these different creatures. And sometimes I'll be like, whoa, that's amazing. I would go with them to our plants, pick up some caterpillars, put them in a basket, you know, have them wait to become butterflies. Um, but then of course there was a part of me that was scared because I, you know, when you hear like white lady and black lady, it's kind of like, what is a white lady and what is a black lady, and do I want to see something like that, right? And so that's kind of what we're primed with. And so I remember being young and being so into all of this, loving like talking to them, hearing stories about the provinces, and then conditioning kicked in, and I started hating the dark. Like my friends and I would play this game called Dark Room. I hated it. I hated it. You like go find each other in a dark room, and I would just be so afraid because of all these stories. Um, and then like so then I got really afraid of the dark, and I guess I kind of got disconnected from all of this and didn't realize until right now that actually that was where the disconnect happened. And then I went about my regular life, but then I always loved Disney, as Thea also does, right? And I loved watching like movies about witches. And if you guys have ever seen like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, I love that. So anything woo woo, anything like this, like really caught my attention, and I loved all of them. Um, but I didn't really think that that could be incorporated in my life until a few years ago when, you know, I was really disconnected. I work at my family business where I do accounting. That's my full-time job. And I'm not a numbers person. Apparently not a numbers person unless it's astrology related, because astrology is also very related to numbers. But yeah, so I found myself at rock bottom, and I was like, what am I doing here? And, you know, who even am I anymore? Do I even know who I am? Do I even know what my heart wants? Because clearly this is not what my heart wants, and this is where I've been stuck for a few years. So one night I'm like just taking it easy, about to have a bath. All of a sudden I look outside the window, it's dark, and I had this epiphany that was like, you know, all these other planets exist. And if other planets exist, and like, for example, Mars, if someone from Mars is called a Martian, if someone from Venus is called like Venusian, why is it not that we're like, why aren't we so commonly called Earthlings? Why are we called humans? And why aren't we called Earthlings? Because we may be humans, but we're a product essentially of this earth. And that's when everything started, like light bulb after the other. Because I was like, oh, if we are Earthlings, then we probably work according to the systems and rhythms of the world. And therefore, astrology is a system and rhythm of the world. And if there are all these gigantic planets like traveling with the earth alongside it, there is no way that we're not affected by these like movements and like vibrations. Like, okay, fine, maybe if the movements don't really do anything to us, the vibrations that these planets are carrying, that's something. And so that got me to kind of go deeper into astrology, because before I was kind of interested, but then I was confused, because it was like if you go to a magazine, right, and read your horoscope, every horoscope somehow sounds relatable to every person. So like if I'm a Leo, and if I went to read Leo, it would be like, that doesn't make sense, or that doesn't make that much sense. And then I would go to Virgo, oh, why does that make more sense, right? And then I found out that we all have every sign in our birth chart, and that took me into like a deep dive into astrology, into tarot, because as soon as you enter, I think, one modality, it's really easy to enter this I want to say slide. I don't want to say rabbit hole because it's pretty beautiful, but kind of a slide of like tarot, astrology, human design, ritual work, all of this magic. And then as I got more into that, I wanted to attend more moon circles, and I was looking for moon circles locally. I didn't know there were any. And so I kind of thought I would have to create it myself, until I found Thea and Princess. And there was one circle that you guys did online. And I really loved it, because as compared to like the circles that I was doing, you know, with people in the States, it was cool, but I was doing replays because the time difference was different. And of course, you guys are more relatable because we live in the same country. We're going through the same things, you know, we understand each other. Yeah, so then I was really pleased with how the first one went, and so I asked Thea about the second one and the one after, and you so graciously invited me to lead with you ladies, and I took you up on it, because I began by being like, oh my God, I have to go about this alone. I have to introduce this to this country. And I'm like, wait, so we have community, and there are more people like us. And yeah, so that's me. And that's how I ended up here. And I'm really, really grateful to you, Thea, and you, Princess, for welcoming me and allowing me to lead alongside you. Beautiful, beautiful ladies. So grateful. Yeah, that's me.
Okay, so let's start this way. in honor of the Scorpio moon. What do you think if you could give me like three superpowers? What do you think they are? Or like not think. What are they?
Where does the
Yeah,
circle
what
go?
is this one? What's on your
So,
screen?
so Karina and then Princess and then me.
Okay, got it. Okay, three superpowers. I would say one of my superpowers I would say is laughter. I don't know if that's a superpower, but I think to me it really is, because that brings out the fun in everything. Like when things are complicated, when things are messy, when things are difficult, just one little like sound of laughter can change the entire vibration of everything. So laughter and bringing fun to things. um Earth guardian, I want to say. I think I'm able to like connect with the earth and get messages from the earth, and share it with people for people to understand the cosmic energies better. Oh, you're back. Okay. And the third one would be, what would it be? Superpower. I would say lover of love. um because it's like lover of love and magnetizer of love, I want to say, if I may say that, which is like, because I love love so much, I try to magnetize it out of people that I come across or people that I know, so that they're able to find that love within themselves and share it not only with others but more with themselves first. Yeah, that's for me. How about you, Princess?
Superpowers. Well, I just have to pick three out of the many, right? I'd say probably first would be intuition. So, my moon is in Cancer, and this I did not know at all what the sun, moon, and everything else like meant until I met Thea and I started going deep into the meaning of each like house and um sign in your house, which I'm sure you guys can explain that well. But anyways, intuition. So my moon in Cancer, something that I did not embrace at first, because there was one time I had a relationship and we also had a business together, right? And the whole time, if I say something, if I'm skeptical about something, if I have a feeling about something, I tell him and he's like, wow, how did you know? But then at some point we got into like a difficult time, and he was like, you know what, you have to stop like listening to your intuition because it's not always right. And when he said that, I'm like, I felt like I was stabbed like right in my heart. And I don't know how I reacted. I think I threw a candle at him or something, because that's how hurt I was. But until like until then I did not stop, like listening to my intuition, because most of the time it's like the only thing with listening to our intuition is sometimes it puts us in conflict with other people who doesn't believe in it, especially who doesn't like witches and all the mysticism and everything that we are into, right? Because they don't get it. But when we truly listen to our intuition, there's always something either good or bad that comes out of it. It's like at first it's like, no, I actually don't want to go to your party because I feel this. And because there's social pressure, we feel like it's like we're just turning them down. But then something in that party happens that was actually not good for you. And they're like, see, this is why I did not feel like going. So that's the first one. I think the second one is connection. So like people connection, because I feel like I've been surviving everywhere because of this. I was born in Surigao, and then I was brought to Camotes, and then we went to the city, and then to Japan, and then back here, and then everywhere. And when we are really like when we open ourselves up to connection to other people, it's like we are also there's so many help everywhere, right? And in this, well, earth body. And I think the next one, I don't know if it's a superpower, but I would say devotion. I I just love like being in that state of oneness, and it feels like, and sometimes with people also who are still not open to this type of work, they're like, you're in denial, you're crazy, or this and that. But once you open that space, it's like, wow, there's nothing really that I need, right? And you can just give yourself up fully, and you know that you are guided. So yeah. Thea.
Yeah, I hope my connection stands. So my number one superpower, I really truly believe it's a superpower now, is depth. I have Scorpio, I have a Pluto Scorpio in my 12th house. So I can really go really, really, really deep and emerge like, oh, hello, I'm a mermaid. Or like, hello, I'm an earthling today. Or like, hello, I'm an like really be comfortable in the depths and see what I get there. And then when I emerge, my second superpower is I'm an innovator. I'm like in my past life and up until now, I'm a growth hacker. So what that means is I hack things, I hack frameworks, I hack companies, I hack marketing strategies for growth. And so aligning that, I'm able to go into the depths and then emerge and try to innovate from whatever it is that I uncover from the depths. And so obviously this work that we're doing, hopefully, ideally, I'll be able to have like a practical framework or approach to mysticism, because like what Princess said, it can get really overwhelming. It's easy to be overwhelmed in all the information. And it can be very, very scary because, I mean, who isn't scared of the depths and who isn't scared of the darkness? It can get really, really scary. And my third, which is I feel like a superpower and a downfall, is this relentless pursuit for the quintessential truth, like whatever it is, and like sort of weave and try to find like the connection to everything, because we know that everything is energy and everything is connected. So yeah, those three things. I hope that was quite concise.
And something came up in mind while we were sharing about our intuition. Can you guys sum it up with astrology? Because I feel like they all have something to do with our placements, right? I already mentioned my Cancer moon, and then Thea, Pluto, Scorpio ba? Tama ba yun? And then the last one you said, I was like, because you're Sagittarius.
Exactly.
So
As I
I
was
don't
listening to
know.
each one of you, I was like, yup, Cancer moon, Capricorn, double sun. But
Yes, we're all judgmental now based on astrology.
but that was definitely our astrology. Like after I answered, I was like, holy moly, like the fun, that's very Leo, guardian of the earth, that's very Taurus, and lover of love, that's very Libra. And I'm a Leo, sun, Taurus, moon, and a Libra rising. Thea is a double Sag and a Capricorn moon. Yeah. Yeah. So your quintessential search for truth, definitely Sag. Your growth hacker, I would say that's definitely Capricorn, right? And the depth is also Sag, because Sag has that arrow that will just go and go and go, like without stopping. And then Princess, double Capricorn and Cancer moon. So it was like the intuition is super Cancer, right? And then what were the other two? I'm sorry.
I said
Connection.
people
Connection.
connection.
Connection is also super, super Cancer, because it takes that Capricorn authority to finally open up and be like, okay, I'm being vulnerable and I'm standing up, like the story that you shared, right? You were sharing about your intuition and you were trusting it, and then you were told stop listening to your intuition. And so obviously you're going to get mad and you're going to go into your shell and you're going to be like, forget you. Like, this is my intuition we're speaking about. But then you like loved yourself through and opened up to it. And then the Cancer is like, okay, I feel safe now. Let's be intuitive. Let's share what we have.
Yes. And then Thea would say at this point, astrology is so alive.
Exactly.
I say that all the time
I was waiting.
because it really is.
Especially with Princess. We always feel it with Princess.
So with all this, can we share a little bit about where the sun and the moon will be during the full moon this weekend? No, next week.
Yeah. Thea,
And
you
what
want
are
to?
the fields that we are getting ourselves into? And yeah.
I'd rather Karina to go first because else I'm gonna like take you guys on a really wild, deep ride. And I'm like, let's start light.
Okay. I'll take us through like the surface of what's going on, and then you can dive way deeper because, as you said, Def, that's your superpower. I like to find the like fun, jazzy stuff. Okay, so but this isn't going to be so fun and jazzy because it's a little bit intense of a full moon. It is a super moon, so it's going to be very close to the Earth. So what happens in a full moon is the sun is opposite the moon. And so the light that's being shown on the moon is the light of the sun. So this full moon, we have the moon in Scorpio and the sun in Taurus. And so Scorpio is, intense, it's psychic, it's the alchemist, it's the one that will go into the depths with relentless pursuit of the truth, like they said, like the truth, and just wanting to know and know and know, like more and more and more and more, and no information is too much information. And then they use this information to either transmute or to kind of get things to go their way. They're magicians. I like to think of Scorpios as magicians. And so that's where the moon is, and the sun is shining this Taurus light, which is very earthly, very material world oriented, and they're both fixed signs. So fixed signs are very determined. I want to say sometimes they're stubborn because they know exactly what they want and they're gonna go get it, and they have like that ability to carry a project through all the way through, instead of like cardinal signs that will begin a project. These fixed signs actually pick it up and carry it and go at it with like passion. And so we have the moon in Scorpio, the sun in Taurus. So this is earthly, this is emotional. And then we have Saturn in Aquarius. So Saturn is the planet of discipline, of traditions, I want to say. But in Aquarius, it's like shaking up what doesn't work to create new systems and structures and foundations that do work. And for me in Aquarius, it is not only for yourself, but also for humanity. And so all of this is going on. These are all four fixed signs. This is called a T square because there's like how many planets in Taurus? So we have Venus, which is the planet of love. We have Mercury, which is the planet of communication. We have Uranus, which is the planet of rebellion, the Great Awakening planet. We have Lilith, which is the raw feminine. And then who am I? We have the sun, of course, which is our overall like radiance and ego. So all of this is in Taurus. All of this is asking us to look at our values, to look at our relationships, to look at our relationship with ourselves, look at our relationship with the earth. And how does our relationship with the earth mirror our relationship with ourselves? And then how does that bring about what's going on in our inner world and our emotions? And in seeing what's going on, how can we create the systems and structures in Aquarius to hold what's going on, not only for ourselves, but also for humanity, but remembering that it is so important to hold it for ourselves before we can even hold it for humanity. Otherwise, we're going to get to burnout, and nobody likes burnout. So since this is a T square, and like four, so there are 4 fixed signs, and 3 of these fixed signs have planets in them. And so the release is in Leo, because that's the last fixed sign with no planets. So if there's planets here, planets here, planets here, all of this energy is going to release down here. And so it's kind of all being like pulled apart, like this is pulling this side, this is pulling this side. So something's gotta give, something's gonna give. So are you gonna try to shape what's going to give and allow yourself to release what needs to be released, change what needs to be changed, transmute what needs to be transmuted? Or are you going to stick to the old pattern systems and structures, which sometimes Taurus does, because Taurus loves comfort zones. Taurus loves to stay where it is because it's comfy and luxurious and sensual and nice. But sometimes we just need to drop what needs to be dropped, because otherwise. So Leo has multiple expressions, obviously, but Leo has fun. Leo has authenticity, creativity, childlike wonder. But Leo also has drama, need for validation, a need for approval, like kind of over fiery and sassy. And so we can attune ourselves to either of these, as we're also obviously experiencing all this Taurus and Scorpio and Saturn in Aquarius. But it's like, how are we going to allow it to release? Are we going to allow it to be effortless, which we do have the potential for, because Scorpio, we can release it and transmute it? Or are we going to hold on, and then we're going to be the ones like biting our own selves in the butt? Because it's like Scorpio, it's going to be like, why didn't you just release it? You could have released it. And then that's a whole nother cycle. So yeah, to sum it all up for me, it's just like, how compassionate can you be with yourself? And how can you love yourself to understand that there is this much going on in this guy? So go easy on yourself, because if you're not going to go easy on yourself, who's going to go easy on you? Yeah, that's me. Sorry, that word vomit.
No, it was so good. It was so good and so simple and so light. Which is like so Leo and so playful. So yeah, so that's happening with the sun, moon, and all those Taurus action and Aquarius and Scorpio. I would like us to go into the depths and focus on Pluto, because, okay, Pluto is stationing this week, guys. And Pluto is like the master world of the, like lord of the underworld, master shadow worker. Pluto rules Scorpio. Pluto is the traditional ruler of Scorpio. And with Pluto going retrograde, so by that time, and when we say retrograde, it's like all the like remember, reassess, re-strategize, re. But all things Pluto and Scorpio. So that's all things where you've been stuck, like all the shadow stuff and all the hidden trauma, all the womb work, all 12th house things, I can also say. But more importantly, it's really everything that we have suppressed, because it's in Capricorn. Pluto right now is in Capricorn, and Capricorn rules our structures, our foundations, our bones, our skin, everything that has been hidden and repressed, or everything that needs healing around systems, structures, government, authority. Fear is also ruled by Pluto. Disease is also ruled by Pluto. Money, to a certain extent, can also be ruled by Pluto. So we have all these things that are up for, let's say, remembering. And all the shadow and all this trauma that can come up to light, because they have been so repressed for like the longest time. They've been so repressed. It's just really boiling to the surface. And I like Carl Jung's quote where he said, conflict is an opportunity for consciousness to happen, or like for people to have more consciousness. And the same way, everything sort of starts from chaos. And Pluto is, in a way, it's chaos, because it's this putrefaction it's this death and rebirth of something needs to die off so something new can be born. And I mean, I'm not doing justice because of all these words. The work is much deeper than that. Um, and it's an invitation for everyone in the collective to really remember um, what have we been repressing in these structures and this in these leaderships and these authority figures in our lives, like things that we have given power to, whatever that is for you. It's an opportunity for us to remember what we're giving power to and what the shadow sides are so that we can bring them to light and heal them. So that's just Pluto, you guys. That's Pluto being the modern ruler of Scorpio, where the full moon is. The traditional ruler of Scorpio is Mars. And Mars is moving, shifting from Gemini, which is an air sign. And Gemini is all about, I'm going to talk. I'm going to socialize. I'm going to share. I'm going to be open to perspectives. Mars is shifting to Cancer, your moon sign, my love. And with Mars in Cancer, Cancer being this, like the low side of Cancer can be overly emotional, can be like crabby, just, wants to isolate, like, build a home for herself and just be in that shell. But Mars in Cancer can really be about explosive emotions, or like just, like just rawr, because now of like all the shadow that we've been repressing. And then Mars in Cancer is like, but dude, you kind of just have to talk about your feelings right now. And who wants to talk about their feelings? I think it's a societal conditioning where logic rules emotions. So not a lot of people really have that openness to share from their vulnerability. And Mars in Cancer is actually just really ripping your heart off and be like, whew, be vulnerable. And my cat wants to join the conversation. Because she also wants to be vulnerable. Okay. Cameo. That's Mimi, by the way. Yeah, and so with Pluto retrograde and Mars moving to Cancer, pile that into the layer that you got from Karina. We also have Venus. So Venus in Taurus. So the sun is ruled by Venus right now, or the sun answers to Venus right now because Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is behind the sun, and the furthest that she is in her orbit and her dance between the sun, Earth, and herself. And so, being the farthest from the sun and behind the sun, she cannot be seen. And this is called in the Venus cycle phase, this is called Venus in the transmutation phase. And what that means is Venus is in the underworld. She is in the part of her face where she is sort of in the death part, where she just really, she shed her skin, and she's sort of in the middle, she's in that cocoon, and it's goo. She is formless. There's nothing, right? I mean, for caterpillars, before they become butterflies, they literally become goo first, and after that goo, then they form new bones and what have you. And with Pluto and Capricorn, it's like we're really being restructured and we're being asked to grow new bones. And with Venus in the transmutation phase, it's like, guys, like, be in your cocoon and remember to just shed whatever it is that's no longer serving you, because we're in another phase. We're in this we're entering a new phase of air, of Aquarius, which is all about humanitarianism. It's all about justice. It's all about community. It's all about innovation. It's all about just stepping into our unique superpowers and our unique gifts for the betterment of society and for the betterment of our community. But for us to be able to rise into that new Aquarian age, we gotta die first. And that dying is not an easy, it's not an easy process. It's not a fast process. So remember, Pluto retrograde, Pluto is a transpersonal planet. It's far. So when it goes retrograde, it's not like Mercury. When Mercury goes retrograde, it can span the longest to a month, like 3 weeks to a month. Pluto goes retrograde for like 5 to 6 months. So we're going to be here until October, like this window of opportunity for us to really do our shadow work. We have that until October. Pluto is also going to go back to like points in the sky where he is going to trigger things that happened to us last year, specifically September. So what happened to you on September, and also what happened to you in January when we had all these conjunctions in Capricorn where Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto were together in Capricorn. So what happened to you in January, what happened to you in September, um, there is a window for you to come back to these time periods and reassess, because somehow themes are happening again. I mean, things that happened last year around these periods of time are being revisited by Pluto so that you can course correct. Like maybe there's something there that you thought you've sort of already healed, but not totally. And you know how the thing is with acne, like, or wounds. I mean, not acne, it's kind of gross. But like wounds in general, you kind of really have to lance the wound and like really clean it out before it can totally heal. Because if it's not super clean and you just really patch it up with like any band-aid, I mean, the thing is still there. And for something to be totally healed, you really like have to lance it off with like all the gruesome stuff. And that's Pluto retrograde for you. And lastly, we're entering the eclipse portal. Can I say portal? I can say portal in this group. We're entering the eclipse portal where things that also happened in December and in June of last year. So these are a lot of dates. We have January, June, September, and December of last year are up for revisiting or re-strategizing. But it's around Scorpio things, it's around Pluto things, of things that you hid or things that are always hidden from you, or like unconscious, subconscious stuff that you aren't acknowledging. So with Leo, it's a super yummy time for inner child healing, or like just set dates with your inner child and be like, oh hello, you want to watch some Disney today because the world is just so noisy. By all means, I mean, it's Taurus season. Allow that, um allow that rest and allow that retreat, because there's a lot of collective healing that is being called for us to do. But yeah, it really starts with us. So, however and whatever that we can do individually, so that we can heal whatever it is that's hurting us, so that we can come from that compassionate place that Karina was talking about. And yeah, be the change that we wish to see.
That part about Disney that you added was so funny because I literally did that last night. I put on Disney music on YouTube and I was just like, the world's too noisy. I just need to listen to some like Little Mermaid and Lion King, and what the hell? Let's do it, right? And I also really want to add just one bit that I left out on, that Taurus and Scorpio both have something to do with money. And so this is a big opportunity with worth and money. And because Taurus is kind of money and the material world, Uranus, which is the great awakener and the rebellious planet, is in Taurus until, is it 2025, Thea? I think it's 2025, Uranus in Taurus. But basically, that's shaking up like money and how we look at money. And so, like, I've been hearing a lot about like numbers probably going up and down in the stock market this month and stuff like that, just because there is all this action going on in Taurus. So it's an interesting time to keep tabs on your money, your bank accounts, and what's going on there as well. Yeah. On to you, princess.
I think I'm frozen.
I was gonna, I was actually thinking how I could compose a question that will go deeper into this conversation of money and self worth, right? Because we started with offering the, I know you're talking about maybe a bigger scale, but in our scale, we started with offering our circles for free, and then we didn't know how to like um value it. So we started with this much, and then, but we know this is something that we value a lot. And for most people who come to our ceremony, they always like, are so happy. They get so much out of it. Yeah. I was asking Thea last night where my fifth house is, or what's in my fifth house is, and I said, is that Taurus in my fifth house? Because I just read recently that what falls under your fifth house is kind of like something that will give you, it didn't say necessarily, and correct me if I'm wrong, like not necessarily money, but more of like you will shine there because it's in the house of your creativity and stuff like that. And so what's in your fifth house, you have to align it with what sign is there. Can you guys help me with this? Because I is Taurus in my fifth house?
Taurus is in your fifth house. Yes, I know because Navs is also a Capricorn rising. And just this morning, I was like, Taurus is in your fifth house. So yeah. Yeah, Taurus, the fifth house is the house of pleasure and the house of creativity and the house of authenticity. So you're totally right. Like this is where you shine. Taurus is where you find like what helps you be creative. The earth is what helps you like get into this, which is so fascinating because you have Maya Cacao Magic, which is a cacao brand, which comes from the ground, the earth. And you love this, this is a labor of love for you. And so it's like creating something out of this, and you've made it a creative pursuit. You've gone on with branding and you've created cacao bars with like different additional stuff. So yeah, that's what I have to say about it. It's like very earthly in the way you find pleasure and creativity in this world. Thea, do you want to add anything?
No, absolutely, Karina, absolutely. And with Princess and Maya, and her Taurus fifth house, I remember I told you this. I mean, you embody astrology so much, like you don't even have to know it.
Yep.
Because like when you ask us, we're like, but yeah, because like with the last time you were saying something and we were like, totally makes sense, princess, because it's a Cancer moon right now.
Oh, or the other time when she was like, oh, my face hurts and my neck
Yeah.
hurts, and it was an Aries new moon. And Aries rules the face.
Absolutely. So yeah, all I can say is that's why it's so beautiful, us really stepping into this authentic place and just really gravitating with one another, and like really finding more souls that we can gravitate with and to, and just really grow this community because it's so alive. And I feel like this language, astrology being a language, this language should be taught in school. Like everyone on earth should have earth astrology, because I mean it's a gift. It's a gift that is actually I can like go on and on and on, and like it's just really a gift. And like with Karina, I'm like so super passionate to just really get more information out there, because then we can definitely be in the chaos without becoming it. Or like all these things that we're learning come from a place of response, understand what it is that we're feeling and then name it, so that we don't identify with the story of the feeling. Like all these things that these planets and these archetypes and these myths of who these planets are teaching us. And yeah, it's also really one of my biggest hope for Mata and like Mata Maya Starry circles that we're doing here, that get this information out there, get this knowledge out there, and like really just make our own small ripples, because compounded, like that's a wave. Like our small ripples can become waves. And yeah,
I also want to share I want to share how sometimes astrology becomes like you see, there are many, many different ways to use astrology. And I want to start by saying that the intention of why we're using it is very, very important. We're not using it to tell the future. We're not using it to, change what's going to happen to us. We're using it to gain self-awareness so that we understand who we are. And from this place of self-awareness, we're able to make the changes that we need to make. So we're not using astrology to defend our behavior, right? And I love how you said we're not identifying with those emotions or those feelings, but instead, we recognize it. Sure, we are human. So maybe for a while we'll sit in it and be like, oh, I'm feeling like me personally today, right? I have Taurus in my 8th house. And so I'm like, oh my God. And the 8th house is the house of like death, birth, and transformation. And so I was telling Thea earlier this morning, I was like, oh, I'm feeling, this Taurus-y vibe and I'm not enjoying it. And oh, Taurus. And then I got out of it, right? Because I saw that that's where I was. I saw how I was feeling with it. And then I said, okay, how can I show myself some self-compassion so that we can get out of it? And so that's, I think, both our intentions for astrology. It's to help everybody understand themselves better. So amidst all this chaos, we're not like, oh my God, it's so messy, what's going on? It's kind of like we have a guidebook, but not a guidebook that has the answers, a guidebook that leads you back to yourself who has the answers. A little bit tricky, but that's how life works, Yeah, you were going to say something, Princess. I'm so sorry.
No, no, of course not. Yeah, I think you're right by saying that, and also not to get attached with what is really happening, right? Because I mean, in yoga, or in mindfulness meditation, we always talk about non-attachment, right? And how the basis of suffering is because of our attachment to whatever form it is. And by knowing like the placements, like you will always have the aha moment, right? Like, okay, kaya pala. And sometimes it helps, um not for the skeptics, of course. I'm the queen of disclaimers, and I'm saying this because every time I share something about the new knowledge that I get from you guys, or by reading this app that you guys told me about, time passages, plug, parang it's like, oh, you're just saying that to escape, or to judge, or to this and that. And I'm like, no, because sometimes we don't have certain explanations of things, right? Like why we experience so much loss and grief in 1 year or 2 years. Like some of us probably lose our jobs, or our, family members, whatever it is, like finances and everything. And going into the chart, I guess you, maybe not everything, but you will know, kaya pala, because this is your Saturn return, or whatever placement there. And I really appreciate it, because if we are not guided, we can just think, oh, is it my fault, or it's his fault, because as human as we are, we look for something to blame, right? Or for a reason, for a rational mind to say kaya pala. But then when we look into the bigger picture, we're like, whoa, just this tiny little drop of sal. And we're, our stories is not just, yeah. Thank you for leading the ceremonies with all of us. And I want to ask, or you guys, to share what happens inside the ceremony, if the people watching right now are curious what happens inside the ceremony, because sometimes they'll be like, oh, what are you doing, you're a witch, or you're this, or you're that. And the question is, do they need to be spiritual, or to be really into astrology or yoga or meditation to join? Or yeah, please share.
Mm. Yeah, they just really need to be open, right? And we always say this, the first step is awareness. And we're not here to heal. We're literally here to point a finger or open the door or open a window, but they have to be willing and they have to be open enough to step into that door, to actually open the window, to like make it bigger. So that's what we're doing. We're here to offer different modalities to empower you to continue your awakening. And I know the term awakening is being thrown like it's it's a hashtag, apparently it's a song even. um but to the essence of it, it's like provide them like these different modalities for their own exploration. But of course we have that passion for astrology, so definitely we're gonna put that in. And Karina just it's does it so beautifully, where she's able to get all these complex so Taurus, get all these complex overwhelming facts and numbers and jargons around astrology and give it to you in such a very practical and absorbable amount of information for you to be like, oh, well, then if she says it that way, it's like, oh, that makes total sense. Because then she's able to embody it, and offer it to you and present it to you in that practical manner. So Taurus. And of course with Princess, grounding it with cacao and just really bringing us back to earth where we are. And opens us up to all the somatic experiences where you're being led back into your body. um, is it's a beautiful way to integrate what you learn, because you receive it in your mind, right? You get it in your mind. And what we're hoping is we open your heart to more compassion as you try to integrate that, mental and emotional understanding. And with cacao and movement, it just becomes this one fluid, a safe formula, or like this one fluid process of just really getting information, embodying it, and transmuting it back into nature or back into your communities. So our circles are very, very different. Not one will be the same with the other, just because we imbibe the astrology of the times. So we really make sure that it's thoughtfully planned and thoughtfully designed, so that whatever the energy of the times are, we present it to you in a practical way, but we give you exercises and, like I said, different modalities, so that you're able to explore it and you're able to own it as your own experience. um, because the general themes or the astrological themes that we give you are quite general. But like as Princess said, we guide you through, like, okay, so explore, where's Taurus in your chart, like, so what's happening in that area of your life where all these Taurus themes are being activated, whereas Scorpio in your chart, how is this playing out for you? Because we're all unique and we all have like different natal charts. So yeah, that's from me.
Okay, I have something to pick up on, because earlier, Prince, like I spoke about money and worth, right? And Princess threw in the part about how, we were doing it for free for a little while, and then we started charging X amount and then X amount. And I think there is no better time to kind of talk a little bit about that and the reasoning for that than this Taurus I was going to say this Taurus new moon, this Scorpio full moon, which is shining a light on this Taurus sun, because Taurus is really, really, like, when I learned astrology, in learning astrology, I learned that Taurus, they're super manifestors. They're super magical beings. But what the game changer is knowing their worth and then stepping into their worth. And so in work like this, all three of us would be so happy to do it for free. Yes, we're so happy to kind of share community and just join together and talk. Like the three of us do this pretty often, where we just get on a call and we share all these random thoughts and ideas. And basically what, like, the circle is basically that in a little more formal manner. But the thing is, subconscious minds, they work very interestingly. And so it's almost like if you're coming into a circle, not necessarily sending in an energy exchange, your brain doesn't really get alerted to show up in a way that you're ready to do the work, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like, for example, I sign up for a circle for free. And I personally know this because I have done this. And we attend circles, we don't only lead circles, we attend different circles. So we understand how it works. And so I have attended circles where I have paid the full amount, and I have attended circles that I've gotten for free. And the value of these circles are so different because when I'm paying, even if it's a smaller amount of money or even if it's a bigger amount of money, well, if it's a smaller amount of money, I'm showing up as a different version of myself because I'm saying, okay, I spent only, for example, $100 on this circle. And so I'm going to give $100 worth of my time, whatever $100 is in my subconscious and whatever that's worth, to this. But if I'm spending, let's say, $500 on this circle, I'm going to show up for something I'm spending $500 for. It's just like if you're spending this much amount for a material item, right? So if you're buying a notebook, you're gonna let the notebook be anywhere. You're gonna let the notebook be on the floor, on the wherever, right? If you're buying a laptop, are you going to let the laptop be wherever? Are you going to put it on the ground, allow it to be outside, whatever, bahala na? No. So kind of, that's the same thing. It's funny because like energetics and the material world and the emotional world and all of these worlds, they work so well together and they blend in with each other. It's kind of, we just don't see it because it's a different system. And so this subconscious mind part, we don't see it. We learn it as we go through life, as we get coached, as we go into our own like worth and question like, why don't we want to charge? Why do we want to charge? How much do we want to charge? And everyone goes through this. I'm being so open about this because everybody that joins our circles will also have this struggle of how much are they going to value their own services? How much are they going to value their own worth? And it's how much ever you value your worth, it's going to come back twofold because then the people that are showing up for you are going to show up as their best selves. And so, yeah, that's just a little background knowledge on like, how do we decide our prices or how do we decide, how much to charge or what to do or how to show up. And it's basically an energy exchange. We don't really like looking at it as money because money is, money, but we like looking at it as an energy exchange. We're showing up for you with all this information, with all this like beauty that we've connected to receive, to share. And in exchange, there needs to be a cycle that's flowing. Otherwise, we're stopping it. If we're putting like, we're getting money for these circles and then we're learning more. And then we're putting that money into, doing more research, joining more workshops. And then we're getting more information, cycling it back to you guys. You guys are cycling it back to us. So that's like the flow of divine currency and how it works. And if we put a stop, then what's going to happen? And also one last thing, like if you can spend 150 pesos on something like a McDonald's value meal, oh my God, you guys, like what is a McDonald's value meal as compared to showing up for yourself and the kind of work you're going to do for yourself and all of this. So when you just put all of this in context, it's really funny. Like there was a thing for coaching, like how come you can spend $3,000 on like an LV bag, but you can't spend $3,000 on a coaching program for yourself? These are the kind of things we play around with in these circles, and we help you get to these thoughts and questions so that you too are able to find your own worth, because Taurus, worth, very important.
Thank you, Miss Taurus. Ang galing. I was gonna say, if you're gonna pay your therapist $150 and she's just gonna give you a pill, well, think again. Because I mean, I know Thea, your cousin, is doing her master's in psychotherapy, and we are all like learning more about like alternative therapy also, right? I'm not saying that joining circles, ceremonies, astrology, all these alternative healing modalities can answer your big existential, life crisis. But it's really a way, a portal to know more of the source, and from there you can start exploring, right? Because it's not just about you right now, this physical body, or your boyfriend right now that you're fighting with, and like, ah, but I really love him. I don't want to. It's like it's so wide and broad and like, oh my gosh, and this is what we get into, like when we go into the circle, right? It's a place of expression of devotion, and ritualizing everything, and we get to play like witches or like superhumans in 2 nights in 1 month, right? Because you have the new moon and the full moon, and it's a place to just relax and let it be, sabi ni Beatles. And yeah, what else can I say? It's a time to play, to put aside our laundry, our dishes, and get into, yeah, into ourselves and the whole universe. Is that right?
Yeah, so super beautiful. So here's our invitation. We are gathering every 11th of the month for our new moon ceremonies. For full moons, we give bonuses, or depending if it's a really, really potent, I mean, all these donations are quite potent. Every day is a potent opportunity for us to give attention to our healing. What I'm saying is full moons can vary. So oftentimes we still gather, but it depends if it's going to be like a really deep master class for those who are also doing their own circles, or if it's open for all levels. But for new moons, it's fairly consistent. It's every 11th of the month, and we really open and offer our circles and come and gather into ceremony. But at least that helps you set the new moon cycle and like really be guided into the energy of like what this next cycle is going to look like. And it's beautiful when you're able to like the past Aries new moon is, I guess, super perfect because Aries is the first astrological sign, so it's sort of like a new year. But whenever you join us is perfect and is right for you, and whenever you find us is perfect and it's right for you. But when you are really consistent with joining us in ceremony, especially for new moons, you will notice this pattern where every new moon carries over energies from the last and gives energy to the next. And you will see, and I'm getting chills as I'm saying this, you will really see like this bigger pattern of life where everything is a cycle and everything comes and goes and flows. There are ebbs, and it's wheels upon wheels and circles upon circles and cycles upon cycles and cycles. That's why I said it can get really overwhelming once you like peep through it and be like, oh my gosh, my head just exploded because everything is so interrelated and connected. But yeah, so full moons, we guide you deeper. But new moons, it's really for all levels because we walk you through. But like what we said earlier, each circle and ceremony is pretty much unique because it really depends on the energetics of the time.
And I want to add, when you do attend the new moon circles, so we're going to start sharing like obviously about each sign the way it is, and then Thea will go deeper about like the depth, right? I'm going to be sharing the way I shared with you guys right now, and then Thea will take us deeper. And so when you're attending, like, for example, if you attend all 12 new moons, you got all the signs down. And what happens is every full moon is in the opposite sign of the new moon. So for example, every full moon is in the opposite sign of the
Not always like now.
Oh yeah, actually sometimes it like messes up, but basically they're usually in exact opposite signs, which is called the polarity. And so as you're learning like about Aries, about Taurus, about Gemini, when the full moons come in these signs, even if we're not gathering in circles, because you've learned this information in the new moon, you can work with it by yourself. And that's kind of the intention, because new moons are empty slates. There is no moon in the sky, and so there is lots of room to add information, to flow in and to set your intentions and to go with how you want to go. And then full moons are more a time of celebration and release. And so when honoring that, we're also giving ourselves and you guys time to, bloom and release and realize what is that you need to release. And then the next new moon, we come, we talk again, we share a little bit about the theme. And something to take note of is these polarities are the exact same energy at their core. And so they're the exact same energy, but they're expressing themselves differently. So, for example, Taurus and Scorpio, they're the exact same at their core about security and about loyalty and about, these things. But then for Scorpio, it manifests through like emotions, and for Taurus it manifests through your literal material world and your physical surroundings. And so yeah, that's what it is. So you kind of get the vibe and you'll get the gist and you'll know what energies you're working with. And that's why that's the intention.
Yeah, so I think it's a pretty big bonus, the session that we have now. So at least you have a window of like who we really are personally, because when we go into circles, we really just dive right into it, and we haven't really had that opportunity to introduce ourselves and our origin story. So with that, my closing question would perhaps be, like, how are we becoming now? What's up with you? What are you doing? How are you evolving? What are you offering? And what can we look forward to? Do we start with Karina?
Let's start the other way around as earlier. So we'll start with you, Thea, and then Princess, and then me.
Oh, cool. Okay. So with me, obviously this is my life now. I am on my third pivot. I have quit everything, my job and everything, and like just 110% into this work. And how I'm evolving and becoming is definitely I have more diploma courses and trying to meld ecology and psychotherapy with astrology and storytelling and myth, just to like really bring it all together. So that's me with like the study and the development, like the personal development that I'm doing. So a bunch of courses. So I'm sort of like a 70% time student, not a full-time student. And still the growth hacker in me, and like I have Mars in Aquarius in my third house. And so what that means is just like I'm so super into technology. We have this inside joke where, okay guys, like I'll meet you next week because I'm inside the matrix. So like part of like why I'm also not as out there right now, because we're redeveloping the Mata platform, and we're really really excited for when we're ready, when all of these sort of automations are ready for you, and we can give you like more offering and like really open and expand that community for you to be able to join and like really get the full benefits of what all of these things that we're talking about. Like, how can we support you? How can we empower you in your own healing journey and in your awakening journey? So that's up. And yeah, I mean, this work is an endless pursuit, or like, I guess that's us, right? I mean, as long as we're alive, we learn. And yeah, as long as we're alive, we will continue to become and evolve, and just really be open to all these versions of us that have yet to be. And so I'm just really excited. Is it?
Yay! I was like excited for the new platform. um, I like the last part when you said we evolve, right? Because growing up, um, our our families are expecting us to be something, right? Like with one title, housewife joke. Just kidding. Not to us. Maybe. I mean, we're beautiful, loving wives. Or you guys. Anyways, daming kwento. By the way, guys, I'm Sisyphus. Tama ba yung pangalan? The guy who keeps climbing back to the to the hill. So that's me. I live a lot of lives. In this current lifetime, I used to do a lot of environmental advocacy work, and then I got burnt out because I did not believe in the systems anymore. And I stumbled upon, it was not even cacao before, it was different businesses, but still has something to do with um, the earth, and then wellness, nutrition, and stuff like that. And then last year I started going deep into this work, hosting and holding space for our ceremonies. And then on the side, I have Maya Cacao. Ano ba yung question? But I'm really open to going back and forth with my past life. Not the way past, huh? Because I think I lost a leg in one of my past lives. But more of like talking about, like the environment, or like being with young people, or thank you for adopting. Kita ko yung adopt a tree. Cacao tree. So yon, the work that we do all together, I think, are very much aligned. Like, we help Thea um not decide, but like what we put with information in Mata, or the people that we work with, we are supporting each other. And we are open to also other people, superhuman beings, healers, light workers, activists, sige, pwede na. Like our past life again, to really collaborate together. And yeah, hopefully, I know we have been talking about the Great Awakening, or the Age of Aquarius, which I still do not understand, by the way. But we are just, holding our hands together and say, okay, we're gonna get there, right? I don't know which phase we are in right now. They say, I remember my Vedic astrology teacher was talking to us about the dark age, but before, it was the time of the angels, and the la 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 spirits, and everything light, and then it went dark. And I think we're still in that dark phase, but we're coming out from that. I don't know if this is right. And because parang pinanganak tayo, di ba? We're coming out from the womb. And so we're just, okay, let's hold our hands and let's come out together, alive and happy, hopefully still alive. Yeah, so that's where I am right now. Karina.
I love that. That was so fun. What's that, Thea? You asked about our services, but you didn't share if you have any services. Do you have any services?
Thank you for bringing that up. My service is my service to you, ladies. Okay, so I have a bunch of services. The first is definitely putting up this community and making this community come alive, and whatever support and service that I can render to everyone who's also doing the work. That is like 60% of my resources. That's where it comes in. Because like definitely, yeah, the age of Aquarius and all these things that we're talking about, I'm really so passionate to help midwife that. And so however I can support you with my past life, and my past life, by the way, yeah, I help businesses transform their business so that they can come into a more digital age. And so let me just reframe that to what we're doing here. I now help transform light workers and people who are doing the work, and enable them to like go online and offer their services in like this platform that we're developing. Going back to that, so 40% is definitely astrology services as well. So I do natal charts reading. Like I do read natal charts, but of course I imbue depth. So definitely a lot about soul purpose. And I just graduated from this astrology and your shadow course. So definitely more services along that line of like, if you're really interested to know your shadow and how you can work through your shadow, especially for people who are doing this type of work where we have to be comfortable sort of segue, we have to be comfortable with a certain level of hypocrisy because we need to live in integrity. And whatever it is that we're preaching about, we should be able to do it ourselves first before we can come out and sort of like yap about it. So trust that whatever it is that we share in circles, and whatever it is that we ask you to do, especially like being more loving and be more compassionate, trust that we are doing our own work every day to make sure that we are living in integrity with what it is that we're preaching. So, and I feel like that's really important work as we move on to like as we enter this new phase in our history. So there, astrology services. I haven't really like put a finger on like the exact how do you call this, like the exact astrology service, but for the past readings that I've done, it's like the basic sun moon rising. But if you want to go deeper, I'm all in for like the depths. Thanks, Karina, for asking.
Cool. And you're welcome. I asked because I remember like before we were working so closely with each other. I was like, oh, I wonder if Thea can help me understand my chart. And then I tried to look like everywhere for your services. And I was like, oh, does she not have any services? So then I messaged you. But yeah, so thank you for that. Amazing. Glad to know. And then, okay, so for me, who am I? What am I becoming? And what is going on? That's a very interesting question as we're in this like Taurus sun phase where I'm like, who even am I? But basically, I am doing this work kind of part-time because this accounting that I was telling you guys about, I'm still doing it because that's a family business. And for me, I like love to help. I think I love to help to like a fault that I want to help, my family and my dad, which is why I'm still doing this. But on the flip side, I also love to do all this woo-woo work. So I'm slowly trying to move away from that. And in due time, this will be my full-time thing. But for now, yeah, I'm doing a little bit of that. I recently got engaged, so I'm trying to plan my wedding with my fiance, Navs. It's proving to be kind of complicated at this time. So yeah, I'm doing that work. Trying to do wedding planning, and I'm doing all of this for the most part of my day. I mean, all of this being all this magic work. Now, what is magic work? I read tarot, I read oracle. I have these as offers. And for these ones, what I do is written reports, kind of. So I'm able to go deeper and talk more and give more advice. And then I also like Thea do astro chart readings. I'm still playing around with this, but the way I've released it so far is an astro love language reading. So it's kind of understanding your love language and how you need to be loved through the stars and through astrology. And then I also do it for relationships. So it's understanding your love language and understanding your partner's love language and understanding how they jive together and how they can work best together. And if there are any problems or any points of tension or any questions, it's like, okay, how can we work with this, or how can we make it more aligned so that you're not coming at it from two different perspectives? Because something I really love to share is that oftentimes we forget that the way other people need to receive love is different from the way we need to receive love. And so then we give these people love the way we need to be loved, and then they don't receive it well. And then we get upset that, we're doing our best, but they're not receiving love the way we're giving love, because we forget this disconnect that not everyone is like us, not everybody receives love like us, or not everybody gives love like us. And so, yeah, this is why I have this offering. This is what I have so far. I'm trying to play around with it. I actually also just took down my offers from my page because, again, Taurus, 8th house, very complicated. But yeah, I'll have them back up soon and a little more detailed, I suppose. And other than that, I am just learning more and diving deeper. And something that I'm super, super passionate about, because I grew up with a Hindu background, and that kind of had me kind of questioning religion, going deeper into religion, questioning what religion even is. And so now what I'm trying to do is pull together different perspectives and different methods of getting to the same place. And so I believe that astrology, religion, human design, tarot, all of these take us to the same place, but they're all different perspectives. And every culture has its own way of doing this. And so I'm starting with what I know. So I'm starting with Hinduism and finding the links between Hinduism and astrology. And then probably I'll go deeper. But yeah, I think, like you said there, the pursuit is never ending. We just want to, especially when you begin, you just want to learn more and more and more. And for people like us, like the three of us that are doing this work, we just want to know more and more and more truth and practice more and more and more and connect with more and more and more soul tribe, so that we're able to connect in different ways, so that we're able to light up different hearts. And as we're talking right now, I'm imagining, or I've imagined also in our like last circles, right, when we have people coming together through different parts of the world, it's like the globe, right? And the globe is lighting up with different lights in all these different countries, because we're all not just thinking with that, what is it that they say, we have like 100% of our brain, but we only use 3%, is it? So there's so much else percent of our brain that we're not using, but in these circles, we're using it. And so we're lighting up these points in the world. And so we're activating this light grid. And I think that's powerful. And that's what we do. Yeah.
Yay! I think that's a beautiful ending. And totally. May we all be the lights. And as we continue to allow our own light, may we continue to inspire others to shine their lights as well.
Absolutely.
And with that,
we thank
Any
you.
tips you want to share for this Scorpio full moon? Like what they can do to release or journal prompts? Or I know that physically Scorpio is the exit, the
The
rectus.
reproductive organs.
Also the puwet, diba? So anything you want to release, then go ahead and release it. Is it a reproductive organ also?
Reproductive
Marami ting release
organs.
doon, diba?
Yeah.
So you can
Okay.
do a lot of malasana if you do like yoga.
Yeah. What is malasana?
The
Squat pose. Okay, got it. Nice. There, guys. That's a tip from Princess. Okay. I'll share a little bit because Thea, I'm sure you'll take it a step deeper. So I'll leave the deeper part for you. I'll share what I think you can do on a, a little more surface level. Take a bath, like soak yourself in water, because Scorpio is water. Spend some time in nature, always good because of all this earth energy. I would also say do practices that bring back fire into your system, because with all of these air, water, and earth being activated, there is kind of a lack of fire in the heavens. And so you can do that by like HIIT exercises, by breath of fire, by dancing, by cardio, just to kind of release, because that kind of helps the actual release, because if we're feeling all these things in our body, it's kind of like, oh, I'm feeling these things, I need to release, but then we get frustrated because we can't release. So it's kind of like literally move so you can release. And then journal. I would say journal about your values. Have a good look at your values and your boundaries and what you allow into your life, and what you would like to manifest and transmute, because this is a great time for manifestation, and this is also a great time to transmute things that no longer fit. So those are good journaling points. And how can you incorporate more fun into your life? Like through all this crazy, where is the fun? And if the fun is like a Disney movie, if the fun is dancing up and down, if it's hanging out with kids or acting crazy, dude, go for it. Don't question yourself. Don't think you're gonna look silly. Fly into it, because we're alive. At the end of the day, we're all kids. We all just need a little more love, a little more fun, a little more play. Yeah, that's for me. How about you, Thea?
I like that you said that, because that's so very Leo. So I'm going to go with womb work. Oh my gosh, how can I not make it sound deep? Just like really if you can try, like I talked about Pluto earlier. So maybe let me take a step back of that from that womb work and like look into the dates that I mentioned when you journal, like what was happening for you in January when we figured these things out, like pre, I mean, we all know what happened in January last year. Um, look back as early as January 2020, June, especially September of 2020 and December of 2020. And like just check your journal, what happened then and what needs changing now. If you are starting a business, if you are starting anything new, now is a super perfect time to make sure that your foundation is laid out, because this Taurus season is really all about stability, dependability. It's really about what's going to stick. And we just had an Aries new moon. And I mentioned during the Aries new moon, we're actually still in the Aries lunation as we record this. What we set, like the intentions that we set um, on the new moon last March, can stay for up to 2 years. So if like this new moon, if things get illuminated about things that need changing, and I talked about the Pluto retrograde, if there's anything that you want to manifest, as Karina did say, if there's anything that you want to manifest in like that time period, 2 years from now, what values, what structures, what like anything of the earth that the anything that can make it sustainable right now, what are those for you? And Karina talked about worth and all these things, how you can charge and what have you. So use that as a foundation. At a deeper level, when I talked about womb work, is just really feeling into this space of like this womb where we're supposed to birth something out, because we're in that gestation phase. If we haven't birthed it already, and I'm talking about creative projects or talking about business or whatever, and even if we birthed it already come Aries season, that space, the hara or the womb, can still be vulnerable. So if you can feel into it, definitely asanas to help release, because there can be a propensity for indigestion because Mars is going to be in Cancer, and if it's ruled by the moon, it's going to change every 2.5 days. So just be mindful of where your energy and where your emotion is at every 2.5 days, because it's going to like fluctuate for the next 2 months that Mars is in Cancer. So definitely your womb. What am I feeling today? Is it like 2.5 days already? Where's the moon at? And like, where's the moon in the sky? What does it want to do? And reflect back of like, where's the moon in my chart and how do I want a moon? And when I say how do I want a moon, it's like, how do you want to feel nurtured? How do you want to feel safe and secure? And like all moon things. And that's going to change every 2.5 days after tomorrow. So I think just something to be aware of. And lastly, breath work. Definitely. I'm going to agree with Karina when we say breath work and coming from your heart and doing things that bring you joy, because we have that womb work and we had all this Aries head energy, and it meets here. It meets in our center and it meets in our heart. And so if there's any space that we can make during the day to play and relax and just feel comfortable in our skin and in our bodies, that's definitely going to help ease the tension of this potent, intense Scorpio full moon. There.
Amazing.
Yay. And so with that, would like to thank everyone who joined us up until this point. We had a lot of fun, as we always do. Started like our circles, yeah. So I hope you enjoyed, got a lot of value from what we shared. I hope you got to know us better. And yeah, if you have any questions, just hit us up, any three of us. Princess, through your channels, you want to tell them about your
Promo na ba? Well, my Instagram just Princess Manzon or Maya Cacao Magic. I wanted to add, like, it's when they when they join a ceremony, there might be something coming up, probably not on the same day, right, but in the next few days. Just know that you are not alone in this, and that we are here. Maybe Thea has experienced it, or I have, or Karina, or our teachers have. So yeah, we're here to support you 100%. Just send us a message through Mata, Maya, Princess, Thea, Karina. We're here. I think the call for this um live like Zoom call that we are doing right now is to let the people out there know that, of course, it's not easy, but we are here, and that we are here to support, and that it's okay, to come out from your shell if you're feeling like, oh, there's something magical that I've experienced, or I am scared to go into to the deep dark waters, or to step into that door, right? Or I really feel alone, I want to talk to my mom or my lola who passed away, but I don't know how. It's scary, and there's so many people losing their lives right now, and we're not even going to talk about homes yet, but know that it's just all there, and we are here to support you. We cannot give you a line to the maybe we have. Are you guys in chat now? I thought we said goodbye and we're opening up another conversation, mysticism, but really, yes, we are here. And whatever it is that you're feeling, that is not of this world, that you think is not acceptable, it is okay. Talk to someone about it. Maybe your therapist will not understand you. Before you pop that pill, talk to someone who you think who has the experience and who can help you. I'm not discouraging you not to do that, but we can mix all the modalities together, right? So we can really get to the bottom of it all. So yes. Karina?
Yeah, I agree, definitely. And I think a major, like we mentioned, like a major part of the reason we even do this is community. And so it's having a safe container to do this. It's when you feel like you want to be vulnerable, but you don't know where to go and how to do it. This is where you do it, because we are holding the space for you. It's not that we're like, hey, welcome to our circle. Okay, bye. No, it's like, here, welcome to our circle. Let us guide you through. And now the channels are open to connect with us whenever you want to. Like, that is why we share our handles. That is why we're at every circle. Princess makes sure that, whoever has anything to share, shares, so that everybody can feel heard. Everybody can feel understood. Everybody can feel like they were taken, maybe transported to a different land or a different, like, Minecraft game, right? But then we come back, and then we hold space. And if it's hard to come out of it, we're here. That's what we're here for. We're here to kind of, I keep doing this because it's like we want to like you into this like magical world. It's not like, okay, go, you're in it alone. No, it's because we've been through it. We kind of were thrown into it, and we were like, oh my God, this is not real. This is not real. We've been conditioned this way and that way and this way. And we had to go through it alone. Or to some degree, like, we thought that we were weird, which we are, right? But now we're open about our weirdness, and we're sharing our weirdness so that anybody that feels the same way has somewhere to come to. And so yeah, that's that. You can reach me at starry vibes or Kildas. That one is I barely use that. So yeah, starry vibes. Let's go with that. Yeah, I think that's it, right? I think we covered everything. I want to say that everything that we said here is pretty much how a circle goes. The only difference is we all have cacao. We start with a prayer, and Princess usually leads us through a ritual or, a different kind of somatic movement, depending on what the times call for. And Thea and I go a little bit deeper. yeah, other than that, you get our thoughts, you get our feels, we share with you what we've learned, we ask you what you've learned. It's very, very collaborative. So the value that you get is the value that you bring. And we sure bring all of ourselves. Like we bring our hearts, lay it out there on our computers, and we're open. And yeah, that's it. Thank you. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, ladies, for being so beautiful and so helpful. Oh my God, my life would have been a whole different story this past year or so without you, ladies. So thank you.
Same.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, everyone. Blessed full moon.
Oh.
And yeah,
And if you need any
thank
help
you.
through the full moon, and if you're confused during the full moon, message us. We're right here. So the reason we're doing this is to let you know, if you're confused by anything we said, let us know. We're always here. Okay, thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.